I know I often say this, but it's very sad, isn't it, when you lose people that you've really admired, you know? And I know we all have to go at some point, and that's the sad thing, isn't it? You know, it's what we leave behind. And I think it's fascinating when you think, because if you are in the arts and entertainment world, it doesn't matter who you are. It can be a major star like Marilyn Monroe, Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, whatever. They leave their work for all of us to pick up again. For us mere mortals, as it were, you know, we just hope we get discovered or people remember us from time to time. There's one lady, though, that I think truly will never be forgotten, a fellow Yorkshire lass who did so well, and I was lucky enough to meet her on a couple of occasions. In fact, I just wish I could find the picture for you. A wonderful, wonderful lady who we've sadly lost, simply called Barbara Taylor Bradford. Let me explain. Hi, good to see you. Thank you so much for your time today. Nice to have your company. You know, Barbara Taylor Bradford is one of those sort of stories, isn't it, when you look that, you know, there she was, a gritty northern lass, you know, and as she pointed out to me, you've got to remember just what she achieved in a difficult age, if you like, becoming an editor at the Yorkshire Post, the Yorkshire Evening Post, way back when, well, female editors were, you know, not really thought of. And I don't mean that rudely, it was just a man's world, wasn't it? You know, Barbara Taylor Bradford left school at 15 with a burning ambition, really, to become an authoress. She told me that she loved all the sort of female fiction writers, crime writers, adored the likes of Agatha Christie, you know, just thought, brilliant, you know, this is what I'd like to be. But as she also pointed out, you people from Yorkshire just didn't really get that break. I mean, who does she think she is? You know, how dare you, you know, get a job at Mill, that sort of thing. You know, she was funny. She never lost her Yorkshire feistiness, which is, I think, why we got on, you know. And when you look back, you kind of think her story is like one of her books. Now, in case you're not sure about who she is, of course, her massive seller was A Woman of Substance. And really, you know, it was the televisual thing of greatness, wasn't it? Starred a good friend of mine, the very nice and beautiful Jenny Seagrove, as Emma Hart. And it was a story, really, you might say, very similar to Barbara Taylor Bradford's herself. Not only was it, you know, Jenny, but there was Liam Neeson as well. And of course, future sort of books turned into TV dramas had the likes of the original King and I star, Deborah Kerr. And as Barbara told me, she couldn't quite believe it that these people were now saying her words on screen. You know, the sort of Yorkshire type never lost that stardom thing of, wow, you know, this is really happening. Now, really what happened was, you know, as she pointed out to me, when she was working as a reporter at the Yorkshire Evening Post, alongside her was none other than the likes of Keith Waterhouse and a budding actor himself, Peter O'Toole, who she said was devilishly handsome, and they had quite a few dates, but she said she knew that she'd never be able to tame him simply because he was, well, shall we say, charismatic with all of the ladies. She said those piercing blue eyes just went straight through you, and who was I to hold on to someone like that? Of course, fast forward a few years, she met her own prince, and that was, of course, her husband, who she was married to for many years. Moving to New York, she could have easily settled, as she pointed out, to a life of luxury. But suddenly she felt, well, maybe I could become the thing I want to be. Now, over here in a new country, could I get a publishing deal? She had a very long association with HarperCollins, and that's how she got a book deal, and at 38 years old, suddenly had a worldwide #1 bestseller. Very quickly, of course, the things that took off were the TV adaptations and stuff like that. Now, what I liked about Barbara, as I said, was she was one of these women that just saw a spade as a spade. She knew what she was worth. She knew exactly what the stories were worth. And she worked hard to maintain the level of luxury that she enjoyed. Of course, her husband, as a successful film producer, also knew exactly what hard graft was. But as she pointed out to him, the true thing for me was you never knew whether this could all be taken away tomorrow, so that made you work even harder. Sadly for Barbara, she also pointed out she was never able to have children, but she said she didn't know if she'd ever be as prolific as a person had she have had the disruption of children. So she said, you know, when people talk about the glass ceiling and women and all of that, maybe you can't have it all. One of her finest moments, as she pointed out, was getting, of course, an investiture alongside our brilliant monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, at Buckingham Palace in 2007. She said if there was anything that could encapsulate that I'd finally made it, it was truly this moment. And she said she went to pieces walking back down the red carpet because she said it was a moment that she thought was never going to happen. Barbara Taylor Bradford truly was a one-off woman. As I said, when I met her, she slipped in and out of character. She was either very much the New York socialite or indeed the gritty northerner that was still looking for that very big break. The big break came, she made the most of it, and she was a one literally terrific lady who had a feisty sense of humour, and you could learn many things off. Her work, of course, will truly live on through the books and the TV adaptations. And as Jenny Seagrove pointed out, once you were a friend, you were a friend for life. And I can testify to that. Neil Shawn, Kensington, London.